Today we are going to use GEMS to solve order of operation problems. The first thing we have to ask ourselves is, what is GEMS? Well, GEMS is an acronym that we use with the G standing for grouping, the E stands for exponents, the M stands for multiplication, I'm going to abbreviate this here, or division, or I like to say multiplication processes, because we know division is an inverse operation of multiplication, and S for subtraction or addition. Formerly, this was known as PEMDAS, but we're now using GEMS, grouping, exponents, multiply or divide, subtract or add. Our first thing is our G, our grouping, are items grouped together or grouping symbols. These symbols are parentheses, brackets, or braces. And we always solve these by working from the innermost to the outermost. So that means the inside ones first and you work your way outward. Next we work on our exponents. And our exponents are represented by a base number, and the exponent is the little number on the top. And this little number on top tells us that we take our base number, which is 8, and we're multiplying our 8 by itself 3 times. The exponent, the 3, tells us how many times to multiply the base. The 8 is the base. So our exponents we always do second after the grouping. Next comes our M, or our multiplication or division processes. We don't care what order we do the multiplication or division from. We just have to remember we always work from left to right. That's the key, from left to right, just like you're reading a book. So even if our problem would say 24 divided by 3 times 4, we would do the 24 divided by 3 first because it comes first from left to right. And lastly, we do our subtraction or addition. And once again, we do this from the left to the right. And we can do this in, it doesn't matter whether addition's first, 7 plus 2 minus 3. We would do our 7 plus 2 first, which would be 5 minus 3. So this is the last thing in our GEMS. Okay, let's use the GEMS now by looking at this problem. First thing we want to do is our grouping. And our grouping is the stuff inside this parenthesis. So we will start working inside the parentheses, and we have to now remember what do we have to do first in the parentheses. Well, if we look at our term GEMS, G-E-M-S, we're doing the grouping first, but now we have to look, are there any exponents inside our problem? And the answer is no. So we can check off the exponents. Next we'll look for the multiplication or division. Inside the parentheses, we can see right here we have a division. 8 divided by 2. So we will do that first. One thing that I like to do is if I'm going to work on this first, I'm going to make a little caret to say that that's what I'm working on. And I know that 8 divided by 2 is 4. Then I'm going to rewrite my problem, complete with the parentheses, to make sure I do not miss a step. So now that I've done that step, I still have stuff inside the parentheses. Now I look, is there any more multiplication or division? In this case, inside the parentheses, there's no multiplication or division yet left. So I can now check off my multiplication and division. So I have left now is my subtraction. So once again, it's addition or subtraction, and I always go from left to right. So in looking at this, the first thing I can do is my 3 plus 4, which is 7, and I can rewrite my whole problem one step at a time. And now I can still look inside that group, and I've got a subtraction in there. So now I'm going to do 7 minus 2 is 5. I'm going to go ahead and leave the parentheses right now, because that's going to serve for my multiplication sign. Now, I don't have to do parentheses. If I would like to subtract that, I can use a dot, because a dot is the same thing as X, but we don't want to use X's. We want to use a dot or a parenthesis to tell us multiplication in this case. So now I've done everything inside my parentheses. Now I go back and look at my gems. Well, I know all my grouping is taken care of, so now I can cross out grouping. Now I'm going to look for exponents. Do I have an exponents in my problem? The answer is yes. I've got an exponent right here. So I need to solve for this first. And I know solving for my exponent, 2 is my base number. And my exponent 3 tells me I have to multiply 2 by itself 3 times. And I know that 2 times 2 is 4 and 4 times 2 is 8. So my exponent comes down and I know this is 8. And now I'm going to add. I'm going to rewrite the rest of my problem. Okay, so now I've taken care of my exponents, so I can cross my exponents out. Next, I look at multiplication or division. And I do have another multiplication. It's right here. So I'm going to do that first. And that is 7 times 5, which I know is 35. And then I rewrite the rest of my problem. So now I have 8 plus 35 plus 35. And there's no more multiplication or division, so now I can cross out my M for my multiplication or division. And lastly, I have subtraction or addition. And once again, I'm doing subtraction or addition, and I do from left to right. And I can see that I have no subtraction, I've just got 2 addition. So I'm going to start with my 8 plus 35. And 8 plus 35 is 43. I got 43 plus 35. And now I can do my last addition, and I've got 43 plus 35, which equals 78. So now, if you go back and look at my whole gems, I can see that I've brought by doing this problem, it almost looks like a slice of pizza, because I can bring it down to almost a diamond, or some people say it almost looks like a top of a gemstone, hence the name gems. So if I do my order of operations, solving a problem using order of operations and using gems, my gems once again stands for grouping. And we did this, I did everything inside the group first, and I did it one step at a time, rewriting each step of the way. Next, I did my exponents, and we see here's exponent, and I finally finished all my groupings, so then I worked on my exponent. Then we did our multiplication or division, and I did that right here. And I also did it way up top inside my first one, because inside my grouping, I did it in that order too, and I did my division. And once again, I do multiplication, division, left to right. So when I got down here, I did my multiplication. And lastly, I did my subtraction. I did my subtraction or my addition. And I did that right here. I did it again here, which gave me my answer of 78. So in using order of operations, solving order of operations using GEMS, we see that it's not a quick process, but if you do your equation one step at a time, always working from left to right, you will eventually come up with your answer. I hope this has helped you today. Now it's time for you to go and practice on your own.